Hello, my name is Charlie, and for a long time, I thought that a good job was one simply where they paid you a lot for doing little. What do you think? I've now changed my mind. I realized I was wrong when I underwent one of the most tragic ordeals in my life. I was often told that my lack of indifference was my most striking characteristic. True, you can't build a career from this, and to be honest, I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do with my life despite having recently graduated. A few days after graduating, I was walking and noticed a kitten wandering into a transformer station. You know, I wasn't a fan of climbing into dangerous places, but it was like something clicked inside me. I couldn't just ignore it, and I wasn't thinking about what the consequences may be. I had to rescue that kitten. The good news is everything ended well for the kitten, and I managed to rescue it. The bad news? I got stuck on something and accidentally knocked into live wires. I hardly remember the pain. Just a flash, and then darkness. The doctor said that I was lucky. I had survived, but the burns were so severe that they had to amputate my leg just below the knee. When I saw my stump, I couldn't believe that this had happened to me. In an instant, my life had changed forever. And at that moment, I thought it was irrevocably for the worse. But that wasn't so. At first, I was depressed. But my rehabilitation helped me come out of it, and I pulled myself together, telling myself that everything would be fine. The trouble is, I'm from a poor family. The only prosthetics we could afford were barely functional and, to put it mildly, not the most aesthetically acceptable prosthetics. Learning to walk with one was a real torment, and even when I grew accustomed to the feeling of one, my sense of hopelessness didn't leave. I tried to get a job, but the only more or less normal place that would hire me was a toy store. We didn't have many customers, so out of boredom, I started collecting Lego. You know, this is a whole world unto itself. There's even a full-fledged car made of 500,000 parts, some of them designer. It uses a piston engine which compresses air to accelerate to 18.6 miles per hour, 30 kilometers per hour. When I found out about this, I had a crazy idea. Why couldn't I put together a prosthetic leg made from Lego? At first, I made just a frame that looked like a real foot. But then I thought, why not experiment? And with the help of hinges and wheels, I could make a mechanical ankle that would bend. My movement became less noticeable. This prosthetic changed my life. I grew more confident with it and eventually met Anne. She was a woman who would often come into our store with her little son Jimmy, and she was lonely. We started to talk more and more, and I learned he was a big Lego fan. But that's not all. Whenever we spoke, I began to feel, I don't know how to describe it, like a warmth inside of me. It felt good. I gathered my courage and eventually invited her out on a date. She smiled and said, "Finally, I've been waiting for your first move for ages." It was a funny moment. Have you ever been afraid to invite someone on a date, but it turned out they were just waiting for you to ask? The dinner was wonderful, but I couldn't hide my prosthetic leg from her. So I told her my story. But she wasn't horrified. Oh no. What amazed her was that I had designed my own prosthetic. Out of Lego. I even got a little proud of the fact that I had designed my own leg. What a weird thing to boast about, right? Our relationship grew, and before long she was inviting me over to her home. And for the first time, I stayed the night. Of course, I was ecstatic, but my happiness was cut short. In the morning, I couldn't find my prosthetic leg, which I had left by the bed last night. My leg, which I had spent weeks building, had just disappeared. Can you imagine? What would you be thinking in my position? Anne and I began to look for it. Eventually, we found it in Jimmy's room. It turned out that Jimmy had taken it in the morning whilst we were sleeping. He had sneaked into the room and had seen the design and decided to play with it. I was shocked. Jimmy had taken my prosthetic Lego leg apart and made a typewriter out of it. My heart sank when I saw that typewriter, but Anne, to her credit, comforted me as best she could. She said that Jimmy was only 9 years old, but he was a genius when it came to creating things with Lego. He went to a Lego club where the teacher was constantly amazed by his creations. In short, he could build literally anything from Lego. We began to collect the parts together, and I spent the rest of the day trying to rebuild my prosthetic leg. I was working from memory, and Jimmy, as a way of apology, helped me to improve my design. My prosthesis turned out even better than before. It didn't just move now. The leg was anatomically correct, complete with toes and ankles that absorbed impact more smoothly. Jimmy was thrilled. He recorded a video of my prosthetic foot to show off at his Lego club. On Monday, I went back to work, and everything went as usual. That is until my phone rang with an unknown number calling. This call turned my life upside down. The man who had called said that he was an investor who had seen Jimmy's video on YouTube. Our design had piqued his interest, and he wanted me to lead a manufacturing design team that would make prosthetic body parts for people, all from Lego. I was over the moon with joy. Now I have my dream job, and I know what makes my job truly spectacular: helping people. My ability to care about other people and my own experience with tragedy have all allowed me to build for myself a truly successful career. A year has passed since I got the call, and now all four of us live together: me, Anne, Jimmy, and Oliver. Who's Oliver? Oh, where are my manners? Meet Oliver, the cat I saved that fateful day. Of course, I don't blame him for me not having a leg. I think maybe this was supposed to happen, to sacrifice my leg to find my destiny. Perhaps if I had never met him, I would have a completely different career and possibly no family at all. But now I understand. A great job isn't one that pays you a lot of money to do not a lot, but one that helps people and allows you to take pleasure in that fact. What brings you joy? How do you connect what you do with what helps people? Tell me in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe for more awesome content.